Good afternoon, and welcome to the Voice of Wisdom. With over 60 years of experience as an investment banker, entrepreneur, venture capitalist, securities analyst, and advisor, Morty Davis is a Wall Street legend. In addition, Mr. Davis is an outstanding economist and highly articulate, incisive, and very entertaining political analyst and strategist. He's Wall Street and capitalism personified. The over 400 companies for which he has raised more than $3 billion over the years have created a countless number of jobs and exciting new products. Through the Voice of Wisdom, Mr. Davis explores, analyzes, and debates the most topical economic and social issues facing our world today. Joining Mr. Davis today for a discussion on the news making the headlines is Len Carter. Len is an investment banker, business consultant, and private investor. And now, Mr. Davis and Mr. Carter.
Welcome back. It's Wednesday, 6:30, and it's my privilege and pleasure to interact with you as my very constructive and cohorts in preparing this weekly podcast. Your ideas that you send me each week with your insights and wisdom on the podcast itself and the events of the week is invaluable. You're all brilliant, and I love you, and I appreciate your being my cohorts in this effort, to the extent that it's a winning program, as I've discovered from comments that people are sending me about the podcast. You deserve much of the credit. So thank you, I love you, and it's great to be back with you in this, my favorite hour of the week. 6:30 to 7:30 every Wednesday evening. So without further ado, let's get on with the podcast, which essentially is a discussion and a review and evaluation of all the news. The Times says all the news that's fit to print, but it's all the news that they feel deserves the front page in their newspaper. Good news never makes the headlines. If somebody gives $100 million to some worthwhile charity, that doesn't make the front. It's not dramatic enough. It makes the midsection somewhere. That's why I wrote the book. And that's why I have to apologize for this podcast, which deals with that news. I'm urging you to run out and buy the book right away. And I'm so sure you too will benefit and enjoy it and find it the best investment you ever made. That if you don't, just send me to purchase the slip that you paid for it, and or even if you got it as a gift, and I will send you back double what you paid for it, and you can keep the book, or double if you can get the gifty's purchase slip, double what he paid for it, or he or she may have paid for it, and pay you double that amount. So that in itself should make you happy. So God bless you, and enjoy it, and I hope you achieve what I did from those two books. The real happiness, that is contentment every minute of your life, in every action of your life. Just don't hesitate. When you hesitate, delay is the biggest failure of human beings. Do it right away, before the day is over. Not right away in the sense that you're going to leave the podcast. I need your great input. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Without further ado, let's get on.
so last week we were focusing a little on some domestic issues. A lot's been going on in the Middle East. We took a slight hiatus, and now with a peace proposal, temporary peace plan being signed in the last few days, let's focus back on what's going on in the Middle East, particularly with Iran. So over the weekend, we had a 14-point peace plan to turn a temporary ceasefire into what they hope is a permanent agreement after months of conflict, with the talks focused on nuclear inspections, the Strait of Hormuz, regional security. So let me start off just by reading what the points of the latest peace plan were, and then we can sort of talk about what those are and what we think about them. So the summary of the points. First, the main points: the end of military operations. The U.S. Iran and their allies agree to end military operations on all fronts, including Lebanon, and not start a new war or military action against each other. Respect for sovereignty. The U.S. and Iran agree to respect each other's territorial integrity and not interfere with each other's internal affairs. 60-day deadline for a final deal. Parties commit to negotiate a final agreement within 60 days. U.S. naval blockades removed. The Strait of Hormuz reopened. Iran agrees to arrange safe commercial passage throughout the Strait of Hormuz without charge for 60 days. Ship traffic is supposed to resume immediately, with technical and military obstacles, including demining, addressed within 30 days. Future control of Hormuz is left open. Iran will discuss future administration and maritime services in the Strait of Hormuz with Oman and other Persian Gulf states. Now, that's an interesting one we'll get to, because that sort of leaves open the possibility that maybe someday we'll have tolls, which many people think goes against international law. $300 billion reconstruction plan for Iran. The U.S. and regional partners agreed to develop a reconstruction economic plan with Iran worth at least $300 billion, with the mechanism to be finalized in a final deal. So that's open-ended. Sanctions relief. The U.S. agrees to terminate sanctions against Iran. Iran says no nuclear weapons, reaffirms it will not procure or develop nuclear weapons. The parties also agreed to resolve what happens to Iran's enriched uranium stockpiles. They enriched uranium to be addressed under IAEA inspections, supervision, and no new escalation during talks. Iranian oil exports allowed, frozen Iranian assets released, and a monitoring mechanism to maintain future compliance. So, what's your take? Do you think this is a good outcome for what's been going on since, when did this start? February?
I have to tell you,
good outcome?
Len, I think it's a disaster. If you read this proposal and what the Iran gets and what the United States is guaranteed, it's so one-sided. I get the impression that they must have won the war. They must have won, because they're going to get the opportunity to have sanctions dropped so they can sell their oil throughout the world and bring in billions and billions of dollars, much of which could be used at their discretion to buy weaponry to destroy the United States, Israel, and all of the people that they hate. that the Islamists are committed to destroy. So I don't know who came up with this idea. I love Donald Trump. He's been a very good, close friend of mine for years. He's brilliant. I like that he's decisive, but I can't understand where we're out of left field. He's given them everything as if they won. We know what works. You take over the country, you put in your leadership, and you do what we did in Japan and Germany. For 8 years, we didn't have an election. We put in our people. General MacArthur ran Japan. We never had a day's problem with that. And we didn't have elections in Germany for 8 years as well. It worked. We know what works. Negotiating with a guy you've destroyed, and then in negotiations, giving him so many advantages that he didn't have before. It looks like, to me, that they must have won.
So why does President Trump think this is such a good deal?
I don't know. I think he's crazy. I mean, I like him. I think he's brilliant. But tell me why it's a good deal. They're getting everything. They're getting money, unlimited funds. In addition to the cash directly that they're getting, that the United States is going to release to them, they're going to have the ability to sell all that oil throughout the world at their discretion and use that money any way they choose. If they won, I don't know that they could get anything better. And we know what works. And it works when you made the sacrifice. He says he doesn't want to lose any more troops. He doesn't want to, and everybody's against him going boots on the ground. But here we sacrificed all these boots already and all this treasure already, and we got nothing to show for it. Those lives were wasted. Once you, my theme is, if you feel it's warranted to go to war against somebody, then make a total commitment. You don't end it till you take total control and get everything you want. As Trump constantly says, we wiped. I mean, you think it was such a win. We wiped out their military, their army, their navy, their air force, everything. So what are we negotiating? You negotiate when you're losing. You're delighted to negotiate, and here they lost everything, their leadership. I don't understand. Do you?
I mean, I think it's a lot of politics.
Political,
because,
yeah.
I think I don't think the going in belief was nearly as long as it was going to be. I think, the U.S. had just had a successful operation in Venezuela.
It didn't have to be if we finished the job.
And so,
like we did in Japan and Germany.
But I think...
could you imagine if we were negotiating...
the cost to do that...
Len, can you imagine if we were negotiating with Japan and Germany?
Sure.
We'd still be negotiating.
I think there was a different resolve then. The U.S. doesn't have the resolve because... No,
but the leadership has to impose the resolve. He did things that they don't approve of anyway. So do it, finish it. You took it, you took the step. You're being criticized. We lost soldiers. We lost our valuable young people. We lost tons of treasure, and we got nothing to show for it, nothing. It looks like, tell me why it doesn't seem like a win for Iran to you. To me,
It does. But I think the problem was that it was missold and supported from the beginning. You know, when the Twin Towers.
I don't agree with
Let me
that.
explain why I think that. Because when the Twin Towers were attacked by the terrorists on 9/11, there was a huge wave of patriotism and anger and a desire for vengeance. You were going to go after, when Bush got up there and said the people who knocked these towers down are going to pay. Everyone was like, absolutely, someone's going to pay for this, because it was an attack on our homeland. 3,000 Americans died, on our homeland.
But that was bull.
That
That
3,000
was
people
bull.
died?
No, that was bull that were going to, after the people that perpetrated it.
But it didn't matter because
Pakistan didn't do anything.
It was emotion.
Pakistan didn't do anything.
What I'm trying to say is why.
Ultimately,
why then,
they did the right thing.
But why did
they
he
went
get,
after Osama?
Yes, but what happened in the U.S. to garner support, and more importantly, for the Congress to continue to fund the war effort? And my belief is that when there was an attack on the homeland, that there was an emotional, a visceral response.
I agree with you.
In this particular war,
but it was the wrong response.
That may be, but I'm just saying why Bush was able to fight, and now here in this case, Trump is stymied. Why? Because there isn't the resolve. Why was there resolve then and not now? Because in this case, people don't see why'd we do this. We weren't attacked. We weren't, they didn't come on our turf and try to kill us and knock our buildings down. So, and we didn't have, allies involved. And so Trump is now facing a situation where, he's got political pushback. He's got, a Congress that doesn't seem to be willing to fund future war efforts. Now, no matter how much a president wants to do things, only the Congress can appropriate funds. So if the Congress is against it, it creates a huge problem. What happened during Iraq and Afghanistan was the Congress kept passing additional resolutions to fund. So the war was able to go forward. In this case,
Bush capitalized on the anger.
Yes.
That he wanted.
Yes.
So he reached out and attacked.
Right. So what Trump should have done is created a reason why we need to do this so much, and I don't think he did that.
Well,
that was the problem. And
he made it clear why he did it. He doesn't want them to get a.
Well, that wasn't sold well enough.
I know.
That's the problem. It wasn't a good sell job.
Well, Bush sold it
absolutely
as wrong.
And unfortunately,
you know what a fortune we lost and what we lost in men, and treasure and.
I mean, just the cost alone was $1 trillion.
Yeah, and how many soldiers? How many Americans? Right. Bush did a wrong thing, attacking Pakistan.
But
in the end, they did the right thing.
He got his agenda. You see, what putting aside whether you agree with the president's.
I don't want him to get his agenda if it's the wrong agenda.
But he still has to get it. And even if it's the right agenda, as this case might have been, if he doesn't sell it right, he can't get his agenda. That's the unfortunate thing. He didn't have to sell
it right.
Well,
it was an emotional thing.
No, this time. I'm saying with Iran. Why is the Congress against him?
Why is the Congress against him?
Why can't he? Because
I don't know. I think they're wrong. 45 years we're taking this shit from a little non-entity.
I don't disagree, but the fact remains, just because you think they're wrong, my view is they and the American people weren't sold properly.
Okay.
They didn't do as good a job as Bush.
It's not like American people being killed in.
Agreed. Now, it's unfortunate that it took 3,000. You wonder if Iran had attacked something here in the U.S. Now, that's an unfortunate situation because people would have died. But what would have happened? There would have been a huge uproar and huge wave of patriotism and anger. And I think in that case, they could have gotten the regime change.
I'll never understand why Congress didn't realize that for 45 years they've been saying, kill Americans, kill Israel, and they've acted in accordance with that, and they don't see a reason.
Not like when a building gets knocked down.
Yeah, no,
that's an unfortunate thing.
It's more emotional when you see it in your backyard. Yeah.
We're almost out of time, but just one other topic on this. What do you think about, I think Trump's big victory that he claims here is on the no nuclear weapons. And he claims that that the victory is Iran agreeing not to have or pursue or buy a nuclear weapon, and to allow inspections to verify that. That's what J.D. Vance said, that Iran has agreed to allow nuclear inspections. Do you think that's...
Iran denies that they agreed to that.
And even if they don't deny, will they actually...
Right. It's, the thing that we did, we know it's something that works. What we did with Japan and Germany, do it. Don't invent the wheel that has no past success. It's horrible. We lose American soldiers for no reason at all. At least the people we lost in the Second World War, we got an end that was that changed the world.
It's not
afterwards. We had a Marshall Plan. We did good things.
It's not a good thing when the people who didn't want the war don't want the war, are against the president, and the people who wanted the war are also against the president.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Because you see a lot of it's rare that both extremes agree that this wasn't a good outcome, right?
Yeah.
Usually one side will say it's a good outcome, the other side bad outcome. But here you have both sides saying it's a bad outcome. People like Lindsey Graham saying this was a surrender. Ted Cruz, terrible outcome. And clearly, the far left is saying it's a terrible outcome. The whole thing was a terrible thing. So it's like no one thinks it's good.
This reminds me, I hired a guy to run my oil company. He was a graduate of Harvard, a lawyer, supposedly very bright, very articulate. So he comes to me one day, says, the State Department just called him. I said, how come? He says, I used to be with the State Department. Oh, I see. What did they call you about? They asked me, what should we do about the Khomeini? He's in France, and he's talking about coming to replace the Shah. So I said, what do you mean, what should they do? I said, kill him. He said, you're stupid. I said, why do you say that? He says, you make him a martyr. I said, it's better to have a dead martyr than a live troublemaker. So they let him come, and since then it's been a disaster. That's the forward thinking of the Americans in their State Department and so forth.
Yep. Oh well, on that depressing note, as you pontificated in the beginning, this was going to be a put you in a funk kind of topics, and it has. But
no, it depresses me so. And to see that Iran is acting like they won the war. They're the tough ones. What's his name says, Trump says, they want it badly. They really want it badly. Of course they want to. What are you taking? You're giving them a bundle of cash. You're giving them the right to sell oil, to take all the sanctions away. I never, as if they won, what could have gotten more?
Yep. We'll see.
All right. Thank you, Len.
Yes.
Good job.
We'll be back.
Thank you. I look forward to being with you next week, Wednesday, 6:30 to 7:30. Have a wonderful week, you and all your loved ones. Every day should be better than the day before until eternity. Bye.